This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
I heard you've been looking for me, but you look for trouble. You're gonna see that your words are dangerous, your talk is cheap. So now I'm standing here, You tell yourself you know what to do when you realize that I am coming for you.
Place to Be Nation, welcome to another episode of Extreme Resurrection. I'm James Gruenberg alongside Michael Cook. Michael, how are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. I got my Bill Gates 5G chip in me, the second one. So, Bill, if you're listening, hello. And everything else, pretty good. We had, as you know, living in Connecticut, this last week we had all 4 seasons, so it feels like the year has gone by quick. We're ready to go. I'm after watching these shows, because these shows did not go by that quick.
No, they didn't, but it's starting to get very warm outside, and, all the restrictions are going to be rolled back by May 19th, apparently, for Connecticut. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in these upcoming months in 2021.
You said May 19th?
Yeah.
Wow. Is Kane around? Oh, wait.
I hope not. I think he's standing right behind me. Yeah, so it'll be a very good. It'll hopefully, the month of May will be good, and we can move forward and get back to normal, like whatever the new normal is. Hopefully, it's something that is in a sociable and good nature.
I just want to go see baseball or wrestling live.
Oh, yeah, me too. So for those of you who are listening, Michael and I are covering ECW when it came back onto the Sci-Fi network in 2006 until 2010. We are covering tonight the ECW shows on August 15th, 2006, and August 22nd, 2006. So we're going to start off tonight with the 8:15 show. It is from the Verizon Center in Washington, D.C. So we get a Paul Heyman and Big Show promo. And Paul Heyman says that Kurt Angle will not be competing in the Triple Threat ladder match tonight. So it's going to be Rob Van Dam versus Sabu. The number 1 contenders match will be in a ladder match. So the contract to face Big Show at SummerSlam will be hanging above the ring for Sabu and Rob Van Dam to compete for. I was surprised that Kurt Angle was not competing at the time. I didn't think anything was wrong. And we're going to get to more on Kurt Angle in our next episode because he's still here in ECW. He makes a surprise appearance here, but it's nothing special, but it is what it is, right, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, it's a sad story, to be honest, but it's good that, that years later he got to come back. And I guess just recently he is going to come back as a coach at the Performance Center. So that's good to hear.
I did not hear that news, but that's great if it does happen. So, welcome back, Kurt Angle again. If he gets off the furloughed list and gets to come back as a coach at the Performance Center, it would be a very good job for him.
Yeah. So, I mean, they'll have a lot to learn. But let's get on with this show.
Yeah. Mick Foley comes to the ring. And keep in mind that he is going to fight Ric Flair at SummerSlam. So this is the ECW before SummerSlam 2006. Mick Foley comes to the ring. And this, I believe, stems from, like, in Ric Flair's book, Flair calls Foley a glorified stuntman. So Ric Flair really does not, in real life, I don't think Ric Flair really appreciated what Mick Foley has done for the business. And Flair puts himself above Foley. Like, this was a shoot that Flair was saying, Foley, you're nothing but a glorified stuntman. And it was written in stone in Flair's book. So I guess they came to blows about it. And then Vince put them in this feud. So Foley is talking about Flair having guts, challenging him to an I Quit match. He talks about his injuries in his Hell in a Cell match versus Undertaker, how he didn't retire after that. He says it's going to be a war against Flair in an I Quit match. The only ever I Quit match I remember seeing with Flair in was him versus Terry Funk.
Yes, and I mean, the difference between those two matches, as we'll talk about in a little bit, it just the era, the type of I Quit match that it could be. I remember that Terry Funk Ric Flair feud. I mean, I was still pretty young in the watching wrestling, but I remember like yesterday. Started when after Flair beat Steamboat and Funk wanted to challenge, and Flair kept telling him, no, you're not worthy. And then Funk attacked him, did the pile driver on the table, which, in America, that was unheard of, something like that. I mean, this was, what was it, 89? 90?
Yeah, I believe so. There? I think it was like one of those Wrestle Wars or something, yeah.
And we had never seen anything like that before in America. And Terry Funk's just a madman, and then it extended out where, Funk put the trash bag over Flair's head, and that was a great I Quit match. And up to, the next I Quit match that I remember, and again, I don't know really the history outside too much out of WCW, WWF, a little bit of USWA, that when it was on ESPN and all that. But the next I Quit match that I remember after that was Rock and Foley. So
yeah, from Royal Rumble 1999.
Right. So if anything of extreme importance, and there were other I Quit matches after that, but and it's funny because this I Quit match that would be coming up, the two participants were in the two, I would say, biggest I Quit matches up to that point.
Yeah, well, let me ask you also, do you think it was kind of wrong of Flair just to say that Foley's a glorified stuntman? Well,
as we've heard, and all of us have listened to other podcasts and stuff, with some of the participants or other people from that era, and they've all said, these books that were biographies, probably with the exception of Mick Foley's, because Mick Foley's was the only one that was really, truly written by him. And they were looking to sell books. Did Flair really mean that? Maybe a little bit. But as they got older, and Flair has said it, Mick Foley has said it both in interviews, that, after all that, bygones were bygones, whatever, blah, blah. But probably, in the late 80s when Foley started, I didn't think anything of him at first. I thought he was just crazy. And, he was the first, correct me if I'm wrong, but overall, the first extreme guy, I would say, that we've all seen on our TVs.
Yeah.
There was no one else taking bumps like that. And, and you got to remember, too, up when Flair's era was talking about, Foley was good, but he wasn't a household name until Mankind. Yes, he was still Cactus Jack. He was more of a cult. Would you agree?
Yeah.
He was like a cult following.
Yeah, I would agree.
And same thing in ECW, cult following. If you weren't a diehard ECW, you didn't know anything. And I didn't know anything that Mick Foley was doing in ECW. I just thought it was oh, wait, he's Mankind. He's coming. No, Cactus Jack. Oh, we'll see how this goes. And obviously, as we know now, based on our greatest WWE wrestler poll that the PTPN did recently, he's up there. And, if you really look from his body of work, from everything from promos to wrestling ability to high spot moments, or how do I word this? Like moments that we all remember.
Yeah.
He might be top. He is definitely top 10 in my opinion.
I think he gives us all the oh my God moments, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, and you figure he retired basically in 2000, right? 2000, 2001, full time. And then he comes back, and you think about the match with the match with Orton, the match with Edge. Even I dare say, the WrestleMania with him and Rock wasn't off. Him and Rock versus Evolution wasn't that bad. And this match that we'll talk about, later on, I mean, there were some pretty good, great matches. And still, anytime he shows up on a WWE screen, because now they're far and few between, standing O. Crowd goes crazy.
Yeah. So he invites Kelly to the ring, and Melina comes to the ring. Foley tells the girls, we're going to have a 3-way dance. Foley starts to dance to the Divas. Out comes Ric Flair. He low blows Foley, throws him into the steps, and then he proceeds to strangle Foley.
Yeah,
I thought this was Ric Flair at his best.
Definitely that last 5 minutes would not be on Raw, SmackDown, AEW, any of those today.
Yeah, wow. He was just literally strangling him, and you got the crazy Flair look, It always reminds me of his feuds with the NWO, and how crazy he was back in 97. Flair is just always crazy, and he puts on a great performance all the time.
This whole segment was great. Yeah, it was a little campy with the Dancing with the Divas, but, this, 12 minutes was the best we've seen, that we will see for these two shows. And hey, I mean, Kelly, Melina.
I mean, we'll see a good part of it in the main event.
Am I going to argue?
Yeah. So then we get another Shannon Moore promo. He says to question authority.
Now, did he this is his first Dilligaff, right? That type of he wasn't this anywhere else before, right? Because he was Matt Hardy's little sidekick, and then this is his first time being like this, right? If I remember.
Yeah, this is him just doing his goth thing right here.
Because this is before he went to TNA.
Yeah, in 2000, when he went to 2010 TNA. Yeah, this is before he went TNA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we get another CM Punk versus Justin Credible match. Justin smacks Punk in the face. Punk delivers the round kicks to Justin. A flying forearm by Punk in the corner. A crossbody by Punk lands right on Justin's knees. A DDT by Justin for only a 2 count. A flying knee by Punk. And then the Anaconda Vice Grip for the submission by CM Punk. So CM Punk wins. I gave this a 1.5 stars. What did you give it, Mike?
I gave it 2 stars. I mean, it was definitely better than it was before, and it was very quick and effective, and it was really, really good. And also, you saw something that Zack Ryder would pick up later on. The broski boot.
Yeah.
But I thought it was very good. Punk was, I think, a little bit better. I mean, he was, and him yelling at Credible and stuff, and I think it showed more the crowd. The crowd was actually into it, and I did like this better than the last match he had.
Yeah, and also that it's not just the ECW crowd at the Hammerstein Ballroom; it's the SmackDown crowd and the WWE audience is seeing CM Punk, and even they were chanting CM Punk a lot too.
Yeah.
So now we get a Rob Van Dam promo. Rob Van Dam says he's waited 30 days for this opportunity. Says he's going to beat Sabu, then beat the Big Show at SummerSlam.
And if you notice, right after that, as they're coming to the next match, that was our first glimpse into 24/7. The basically, the prelude to the network that Comcast was starting up.
Yeah, I remember when WWE 24/7 came. It was supposed to start in 2004. I didn't get it until 2007 on Charter. Charter didn't come out of it on until 3 years later. So it took a while for them to get it.
I always wanted it, just never got it. But as we know from our PTPN veterans, that they used it quite a bit.
Yeah. So now we get a Mike Knox and Test match versus the FBI. Guido and Knox start off. Punches by Guido to Knox in the corner. A backbreaker by Guido. A backbreaker to Guido. 2 backbreakers by Test. Tony Mamaluke breaks up the pin. So then Tony Mamaluke gets in the ring. And then, let's see. Oh, yeah. So then Test hits a big boot to Guido, and then the swinging neck breaker to Mamaluke for the pin. I gave it 1 star. Of the match itself, I gave it a star.
Yeah, I gave it a half star. It was a squash. It did what it needed to do, but we need to get these guys really rolling. And as we see later, they will get into something more juicy.
Yeah.
But, it's... I need something more now. We've finally established Knox since the very first episode. We already knew who Test was. We've established him now as he's going to be a badass here, which is good. And the crowd took me out of it. You can't wrestle.
Oh, yeah, but that's only to Mike Knox, I think. I think at least they give Test some respect, and Test is the one who is getting the pins,
Yeah, so, I mean, what are you going to do? You got to do something with Knox other than, hurting everyone's favorite person in ECW at this time. So, we need to get him. So then Tommy and Sandman come out looking for a fight. So, down the road, we're going to get, Tommy and Sandman and versus Test and Mike Knox, So they're still continuing with the feud between these two teams here. So it's about time for the main event. It's Rob Van Dam versus Sabu in a ladder match. Right before that, the backstage segment.
Yeah, I'm getting to that too. Yeah. So it's number 1 contender spot before the athletes make their way to the ring. We get a backstage promo. We get a backstage segment where Big Show and Paul Heyman are walking out, and Kurt Angle comes and he attacks the Riot Squad and tries to get to fight the Big Show, but he gets escorted out. Basically, he gets handcuffed and arrested by security, and Kurt Angle gets escorted out of the building.
Sad way to go.
Yeah. So Sabu throws a chair at Van Dam, but he ducks. A leg takedown by Sabu. A side kick to Sabu's knee. Rob Van Dam tries to leap to get the contract, but he hits the ring. I think this was like the first botch of the night, and the fans were really letting both guys have it every time that they botched a move by saying, you effed up, so we can see this might be an example of why Vince McMahon was not high on Sabu being, ECW's guy. So then a clothesline to the outside by Sabu, a jumping DDT by Sabu. He tries to get the ladder into the ring. He's met with a baseball slide by Van Dam. Then Van Dam does a flying cross-body dive into the ladder, a spinning leg drop by Van Dam into the guardrail. So we're getting a lot of good extreme moments with the ladder. And this is a very good extreme ladder match.
Yeah, I hear what you say about Sabu. I mean, I get, the uniqueness and the spots. My first taste of him was in WCW for the 4 weeks that he was there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I counted 6 botches. I mean, it was just bad. I mean, the spots were good. I mean, there was some crazy spots. And to me, I mean, I don't know about you, but it looked like Rob Van Dam was just getting walloped. And I think there were some moments that he truly was in pain, and that wasn't acting. I mean, there was some brutal shots he took.
Yeah, so Sabu tries a triple jump off the ladder, but misses. Van Dam monkey flips the ladder into Sabu. Van Dam misses the Rolling Thunder into the ladder. A triple jump moonsault, but Sabu misses it. Van Dam with the chair dive into the ladder. Van Dam lands the 5-star frog splash. Then Big Show comes out and he slams Van Dam. Sabu gets caught trying to jump, but he grabs the contract on top of the Big Show's shoulder. So Sabu is standing on Big Show's shoulders, and he just grabs the contract there. So it's going to be Sabu versus Big Show at SummerSlam for the ECW title. And then Big Show chokeslams both men. So he chokeslams Sabu and Van Dam. So the winner is Sabu. I gave this match 2 stars, Mike.
So did I. And again, some of it for some, there was some unique spots, and definitely I like the ending. I know a lot of people would crap on it, but it was unique. We've never seen that before. It definitely was different. It does make sense that Big Show would try to stop it because he didn't want to have Sabu to have the match. And same thing with RVD. I mean, that's his character. He just doesn't want either of them. But did you also notice how freaking mobile Big Show was?
Yeah.
He flew underneath that bottom rope. And that just shocked me. Like how nimble he was. And then the choke slam. I was wondering what was going to happen. Was he going to, especially with the whole thing with Sabu, but then when he started calling for the contract, again, Taz and Joey Styles, they made it like, what's he going to do? What's going to happen if he gets the contract? But I did like the way, the little different where he was trying to get, Sabu, and Sabu actually grabs that contract. So I did like the ending. For the whole show, I gave it a 2 out of 5 for the whole show, just because mainly for the first 12 minutes of the show. I thought that brought that up, even though it wasn't a ECW thing. It being an I Quit match and Mick Foley's relationship with ECW in the past, I thought it was a perfect thing to start the show with, because now you got people tuning in and staying.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, I mean, Punk Credible was okay, was decent. You know, overall though, from beginning to end, this was a more balanced show, I think, that we've seen. Overall.
It had good where like the good guys were winning and the bad guys were winning, you know, and even the test Mike Knox thing, it was what it was, but it's still just, you know, moving forward with where they want to go with Test and Mike Knox.
Yeah, it wasn't offensive, but to me, yeah, they gotta move on from what they're doing and build them a little bit more, or move on from the building stages.
Do you think that they did a good job promoting and doing good? Well, like they don't really do promos, but do you think they did a good job giving a good build up to this ECW match between Sabu and Big Show for SummerSlam? I think so, and we know that Sabu is not a promo person, so I think it was a good idea by not having Sabu talk, but just having him just attack Big Show from time to time, and then Big Show slams Sabu, and then we get all this, you know, in between stuff to finally leads us to SummerSlam. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, the belief, as always, you have to be a good talker to be a main eventer, or you have to be a big talker. If you can't talk, you can't do it. I mean, Vince McMahon said it himself on Stone Cold's podcast on the WWE Network about Cesaro, is that he's not a good talker, and you don't always need to be. If you could do it with the facials and some sort of actions, you can still be like great. And we'll take some like nowadays common things like Asuka. She can barely talk, but just everything she does makes you invested. You know, from her dancing, from her smiling, from when she gets like pissed off, you know, something like that. Benoit was never a good talker, but yet he made you, you know, believe. I mean, just look at it. To me, one of the greatest WrestleMania come together matches, you know, like to get a match to come together, was Taker Triple H. Not one word was said in the segment, but to me, that was one of the best ever. You know, besides, I'm going to take anything that Austin Rock did, or Hogan, Andre. But I mean, to get not saying a word, you can still build an event. And with Sabu's character, the way he is, the homicidal maniac, I thought it was perfect. You strengthened you made his strengths present as opposed to any weaknesses coming out.
Yes, indeed. So when we come back on Extreme Resurrection, we're going to talk about the August 22nd show from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. We'll be right back with more Extreme Resurrection.
You came to me in a dream last night. You were standing in a brilliant light. 1 minute here, but the next you were gone. I thought you could stay, but I was so wrong. The end is here, the game is over, no more pretending.
Welcome back to Extreme Resurrection. We're covering the ECW episode now from August 22nd, 2006, from in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, at the Mohegan KC Plaza Arena. But Mike, before we get into this show, let's talk about what is going on the Place to Be Wrestling Network. We have the premiere episode of Making Mount Rushmore, the Wrestling Edition. As a panel of experts discuss the Mount Rushmore of greatest WrestleMania matches, as well as best night after Mania moments. So the Raw after Mania, what are the best moments? It Was a Thing on TV is back on the wrestling feed with their second wrestling episode with a look at WrestleMania 2. Join Greg, Chico, and Mike as they discuss the color commentary of Susan St. James and the boxing judging of G. Gordon Liddy. Nate Milton and the Chain Reaction crew are back to discuss the biggest WWE show of 2021, WrestleMania 37. Wrestling Chicken Salad has Ben Locke, Logan Crossland, and Jacob Williams breaking down and reviewing WrestleMania 27. You can also check out our other quad of pods, the Place to Be Pop Experience, all about pop culture. We have the best in TV, movies, comics, and trivia shows, and so much more. Jennifer Smith is always in the Jenny position. She's also looking for new talent on the Jenny position. So if you have a show that you want to promote on the Jenny position or an idea, give her a shout and see if she will let you have a tryout. And you can also join JT Rosero, Aaron George, and Chad Campbell for great shows on and wrestling comics and more on the North-South Connection feed. Check out the histories of WWE, TNA, and great wrestling topics and takes. Glenn and Scott Butler are continuing their spectacular journey through music, films, and more on the Non-Toxic Fanboys podcast. You can get all this great content from the quad of pods on the Place to Be on iTunes, Podbeam, or anywhere else where you get all of your podcasting. So, Mike, we come from Mohegan Sun KC Plaza Arena in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And again, before we get into this show, let's talk about the release of Kurt Angle, because the announcers do announce that Kurt Angle got released from WWE. He asked for his release, and Kurt Angle is done with professional wrestling at this point in WWE. Now, from what I've heard, I heard from WWE side and through the newsletters and everything that Kurt Angle had a problem with Vicodin for his neck problems, and that he had a neck injury in early 2006. So he finally was getting caught using Vicodin, and they asked him to go to rehab. He said he didn't have a drug problem. So they said, Kurt, you need to go to rehab or you're done, and we're not going to continue forward with you in WWE. So he took the high road, and a couple of months later, he would debut at the TNA Bound for Glory pay-per-view in 2006, October of 2006.
Well, I mean, at least he admitted later that, that WWE was doing the right thing and that he really should have went. I mean, it's a sad thing. I'm glad that he ended up going to TNA and changing, getting better. I mean, he went to TNA too early, but I mean, he's going to definitely be missed in WWE.
Yeah, and I thought they could have done more with Kurt here in ECW. I don't think he was happy being on the ECW roster, but it was what it was. And I thought that they should have done more with Kurt, maybe give him the ECW belt. Maybe that would have made him happy. But, things just weren't working out, and Kurt was hurting himself, and he was kind of hurting the WWE organization. And so it was just, it felt like it was a good time for this to happen where they needed to do the parting of the ways.
I mean, and maybe the reason he didn't get it is maybe they already knew, and they were trying to get him to do that for a while.
Yeah. And again, he comes back, 10 years after this. He gets his rightful place in the Hall of Fame. And like Mike said, he's going to come back as a trainer for the Performance Center. So still good things are coming for Kurt Angle. He's still not done working with WWE. So we have now the fallout from SummerSlam. And the Big Show defeated Sabu to retain the ECW title at SummerSlam. Mike, what did you think of this match between Big Show and Sabu?
It was very sloppy. The crowd wasn't into it at all. I mean, they tried to hype it up on the broadcast, saying, "Oh, all these fans are cheering for Sabu." They weren't cheering for Sabu. It was very, very spotted. I mean, it was in Boston, but still, I mean, it just a couple botched spots. It was a very sloppy match. And he will get his rematch on this next episode. But we'll see the history. We'll see what goes on with Sabu after that.
And you got to think, Mike, that the Boston crowd, they only want Cena, They only wanted to really see the Cena versus Edge match because it was Cena's hometown, but that's a whole different story,
Yeah, it didn't help, though, just how bad the match was. And for once, you can't blame Big Show. I mean, Big Show has been really good in this role. It's just, at the time, they just didn't have anyone else to go to because of what happened, with RVD. And
the release of Kurt Angle. So It's like Sabu really seems like plan C, It's like when in doubt, if A and B can't do it, because there was no way they were going to get Van Dam have the title again or even put him in a prominent role. He still has to take his punishment still and start from the bottom, make his way back to a little bit of the top.
Yeah, so we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, so we kick it off with an Extreme Bikini Diva contest, which is gonna, relay into another a match after this. But it's Tori Wilson versus Kelly Kelly, and I will point this out that one of the fans at this show had a sign that said, "If Kelly doesn't strip, we riot."
Yes.
So of course, Mike Knox and Test come out and they cover up Kelly, which leads us to a 6-man tag team match. Tommy Dreamer, Sandman, and Tori versus Mike Knox, Test, and Kelly Kelly. Starts off with Tori grabbing Kelly by the hair and pulling her in, and then Tori gives Kelly Kelly a stink face in the corner. So Kelly immediately tags Test, and then Tori tags Tommy Dreamer. Before we move forward, let's just say that it's kind of a bad spot for Kelly because we know that she cannot wrestle. And we know that Tori has some wrestling ability.
Yeah, not much, though, at this point.
Yeah, so this is I feel like it was just kind of a bad spot for Kelly to be in, It's like she's just there for the appearance, we know that she shouldn't, at this time, she should not be in the ring.
No. But, well, she can be in the ring anytime she wants, in my opinion. But anyway, maybe not. But what's sad is, with all the with it from the WWE Network and stuff, I wonder when they came out of the crowd if they were playing Sandman's music or the ECW music.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure, because I didn't rewatch this show, with the network, so I don't know what they were doing. I think they were playing some sort of music, but it wasn't, Enter the Sandman by Metallica.
I mean, if they were able to at that point, I bet you that crowd would be insane.
I know, yeah. So a backbreaker by Test to Tommy, a middle rope leg dive by Mike Knox. Tommy gets slammed to the ring post, a bear hug by Test, a neck breaker by Tommy. So then a tag to the Sandman. The Sandman does a White Russian leg sweep to Test, a rolling rock front flip to Knox. Knox owes for a leg drop off the top rope, but he misses. Sandman tags back in Tommy, and then Tommy gives Mike Knox a DDT for the pin. I gave this a star, Mike. I don't know what did you give it?
What did I give it? I gave it 1.5. A half for the match and 1 for Tori and Kelly Kelly. There's nothing else to say there. I mean, it is what it is.
But I think it was good. I think it was good that Tommy and Sandman, get the baby faces get the win here, because in the last match, Tommy got thrown to the barbed wire and then Test gets the pin there. So it was good that they're, letting Tommy and Sandman get the win here, and, the crowd can cheer for their ECW favorites here.
Yeah, but let's do something to spark something for Mike Knox that isn't covering Kelly Kelly.
I do have to say, Mike, I think you're going to be waiting a long time to see what they're going to do with Mike Knox.
And it's just they promoted him like they made a big deal about him. I mean, is it just he's so green that Vince is just like, yeah, no.
I think it was too, and then it's that Survivor Series 2006 match that with the moment with Shawn Michaels where Shawn goes, "Who was that?" And I think that was the icing on the cake of Mike Knox's career.
Yeah. Was he supposed
to
be in the match?
check that out. What?
Was he supposed to be in the match?
Yeah. And it was really funny. So then backstage, Paul Heyman is worried about Big Show fighting Sabu again. Show says Paul Heyman has nothing to worry about. And then we get a Matt Striker promo. He says fans in ECW are unintelligent and that Matt Striker is coming to ECW. So we're getting different promos and, not new stars, but different stars coming in from other of the WWE branches that are coming to ECW. And then we get a Kevin Thorne versus Balls Mahoney Extreme Rules match. Anita balls his face, and then Balls punches Kevin 10 times and kicks him in the face. Mahoney slams Kevin into the announcer's table, then hits Kevin with a water bottle, a clothesline and cane shots to Balls Mahoney, a spine buster by Balls for a 2 count. Balls goes for a chair, but Ariel grabs his leg, and the chair goes right into Balls Mahoney's face. A neck breaker by Kevin Thorne off the top rope for the pin. I gave this 1 star, but I thought it was a good performance by Kevin Thorne.
I gave it a 0.5 star. It was just showcasing Thorne. I just don't get Balls Mahoney, but that's just me. Again, I didn't watch ECW when it was, in the original form. It was just, again, we're only an hour show, and now you've been on the air for a while. You've been introducing these characters. You can't have so many squash matches. Just
no, but I thought this one was giving good heat to Kevin Thorne in the way that he was squashing Balls here. Made Kevin Thorne a good start for ECW.
Does he? Is his presentation and himself, is he over without Ariel?
Probably not.
That's what I'm thinking. But again, it's still early. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So then we get CM Punk versus C.W. Anderson.
Or what was he here?
Huh?
He was called something different. What was he called here?
No, he was always called C.W. Anderson.
Oh, I thought he was called something different. I thought they said something different here.
No, but Taz and Joey Styles had a good line. They said that C.W. Anderson was part of the original ECW only for a cup of coffee, which is true because C.W. Anderson doesn't show up until, I want to say, middle of 2000 until the close of 2001. So he is only there for a cup of coffee. And here in 2006's ECW, he is here again for a cup of coffee. A left hand by CW, and then he throws Punk into the turnbuckle. A cross arm breaker by Anderson. Punk drops the flying knee, then a spine buster by CW, but only for a 2 count. And then basically it's Punk getting a Uranami into an Anaconda Vice grip. So CW Anderson taps and CM Punk is the winner. I gave it a half a star.
Me too. So I'm guessing CW Anderson, just from this, is just more fodder, more jobber to build up CM Punk.
Yeah, and I feel like CW Anderson's going to be out the door soon, Like Taz and Joey said, he's only there for a cup of coffee. So now we have Paul Heyman backstage with Hardcore Holly. And Mike, I don't know if you remember, but the last time before here in 2006, the last thing I remember about Hardcore Holly was that he was doing a tag team with Charlie Haas, chasing Eminem, Mercury Nitro, and Melina for the tag team titles.
Yes. And Hardcore Holly, I think, would be a good fit here.
I agree as well. I mean, his name is Hardcore Holly, so having him in ECW, you would think would give him a hardcore edge, right?
Yeah. And plus, his style, he likes to work stiff, and a lot of these ECW originals will love that.
Yeah. So Paul tells Hardcore he needs to make an impact. When Paul Heyman whispered who he wanted Hardcore to attack, I thought they were going right away with, it's Sabu, whisper Sabu, and Hardcore was going to be in the main event. But instead, Paul Heyman says somebody else, and we'll get to that as well. So now it's Rob Van Dam versus Danny Doring. Mike, can we say that this is the jobber show for ECW here?
Oh, this was, again, it was bad.
Yeah. So a spinning heel kick by Van Dam, a swinging cradle by Doring, a monkey flip, and a 5-star frog splash by Van Dam for the pin. So again, it's a squash match, but I think this is sort of Vince punishing Van Dam after the 30 days that you're going to have to start at the bottom and work your way back up. So just having Danny Doring go out there and take a 5-star frog splash seems like punishment to Van Dam, and Van Dam climbing back up to the top and getting into the good graces. Then Hardcore Holly comes out. He hits Van Dam and Danny with the chair, and then he gives Rob Van Dam an Alabama slam. So a lot of jobber matches, but for good purposes of starting new feuds.
Yeah, I mean for the match purpose, I gave it a dud, and but for the aftermath, it does help.
Yeah. So now we're at the main event. Sabu versus the Big Show for the ECW title. This is stemming from last night at SummerSlam. A headbutt and chops to Sabu by Big Show. A gorilla press slam into the ropes. A huge clothesline to Sabu. And then a bear hug by Big Show into Sabu. Sabu rakes the eyes. And then the referee gets knocked down. A fallaway slam by the Big Show. Then Big Show gets hit by a chair. And then Sabu throws a chair into the Big Show's face. He jumps out the top rope, hitting Big Show with the chair. Then an Arabian face buster by Sabu. It seems that Sabu is going to win, but then Big Show kicks out. And then Sabu hits Big Show with the ring bell for a DQ. So Big Show retains the title by disqualification. And then Sabu hits Big Show with the ring bell, and then Big Show is busted open and he falls through a table. I gave this a 1 star for presentation that they're continuing the feud between Big Show and Sabu. I thought it was a good return match, let the fans go home a little bit okay, let's see where that goes from here, because, Big Show just got put through a table and he just got his head busted open.
See, this is where our opinion's different. I just rated it basically an UGG because I'm done with Sabu. I'm done with him.
Okay.
I'm done with this match.
That's a fair point. So you think that this feud between Big Show and Sabu has taken its toll?
Why would they have Sabu win or lose with a disqualification? That's no. I know they're going to continue, but you don't do that in the third. You don't do that basically the second match in, and after on this probably, depending on what your view is, either the second or third biggest pay-per-view, and you gave a performance like that, and then the week before that ladder match, I just, it was Botch City Monkey, but I just didn't like it at all. Yeah, it was like Botch City for Sabu, and he's not in the good graces with Vince, I feel, at this point. So, no, Mike, before... Yeah. But again, this show here, we see some promos of, new stars, and we see a debut of Hardcore Holly on ECW. So Matt Striker is going to be a part of ECW. Hardcore Holly is going to be a part of ECW. Again, a lot of squash matches, but with the Van Dam Danny Doring match, it sparked up a new feud between Rob Van Dam and Hardcore Holly. And I do know that very soon it does get better. Now, the ECW hardcores will say it got worse, but as someone who was a WWE fan, I do know that it will get better.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So before we go, Mike, do you have anything that you want to plug?
Just every Friday it drops, or every other Friday it drops. So on this Wednesday, we'll be recording another pop trivia. This time it's classic movies. We're going to get ready to fill our last semifinal spot and get ready for the 9 winners to battle on to get the championship. And I'll tell you, Andy got this great belt. I know he's posted it online before. You got to check it out. I mean, it is definitely worth it. I mean, we have some great people in there, yourself included. So we'll see. And I know that, you know, no one's pulling favors, but I think Andy's pulling for someone in Connecticut for that expense in that belt. No offense to our winners overseas, but that could be a good cost for Andy to ship that over.
Yeah, maybe it'll be me, you know, and I can just go drive out to his house and get my belt.
Yeah, go a couple miles as opposed to him shipping it to England.
Yeah. Well, besides on here at the Place to Be Wrestling Network, you can also find me on the Place to Be Pop feed every Friday. Me, Jay Arsenio D'Amato, and Greg Diener. We record episodes for Pop Goes to the Couch, Mighty Ducks Game Changers. That drops the following Wednesday every week for a weekly series. The series is going well. We just finished up recording episode 5. So that's going to drop as well. You know, it'll be out before this episode of Extreme Resurrection drops. And also, Mike, you do the WWE Pick'em too for our Place to Be group.
Yeah, now you might be out of it. You might not be able to get in for the yearly total, but for $10 for the year, you're still in it per month. We do a monthly prize. Next month will be Backlash, and anybody can get in. It's been a lot of fun. It's added a little bit thing of watching the shows. And besides the PTPN chat, we also have a separate chat for the group of in the pay-per-views. And it's really engaging, and it's been a lot of fun. And it, again, a lot of people have commented that it has made it a little bit more enjoyable watching the matches.
Well, Mike, I mean, it's not called Backlash; it's called WrestleMania Backlash.
Hey, I mean, we do have one guaranteed rematch and possibly 2, you know, with Apollo and Big E. But you know, I think that, you know, as far as the weekly TV, people have been down on it, but I'll tell you, the pay-per-views have been great.
Yeah. Well, that's going to wrap us up here for this episode of Extreme Resurrection. I'm James Gruenberg, and he's Michael Cook, and we will see you next time.
For me, but you look for trouble. You're gonna see that your words are dangerous, your talk is cheap. So now I'm standing here, you tell yourself you know what to do.